Marcus occurred with that.
Hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Last Word with Naya podcast. It's been a minute since I've just done a narration one for you guys. I've kind of been branching out and doing a little bit of everything. But at heart, I love ancient civilizations and um, just human origins. And I think our past is fascinating. So, this is always what I love to do, just like I said, for the fun of it. So, one of the places that I've really wanted to see here in the Midwest for a while is the Cahokia Mounds in Illinois, not far from St. Louis. And, obviously I've seen it on so many other people's podcasts. We watched Graham Hancock, with Ancient Americas, um, and and just in general, we've seen it so much, and I'm very much somebody that has to. I want to get there. I want to put boots on the ground. I want to see things for myself and experience it. So I kind of like what I did with Omaha and going out there and then up to Sioux City for the Sergeant Floyd Monument. It was really just, like I said, love, love of the art of it all. Just for the love of the game, get in the car, grab some snacks, drive, road trip day. So Omaha was only about 2.5 hours, and Sioux City was about three. Um, Cahokia was 5.5 hours. So it was a good altogether like 12-hour day with driving and stopping and, for gas and, trying to get the content and everything. But it was a perfect day. So it was actually supposed to rain a lot that day. And I wasn't doing anything. I was like, I really want to get this. It's something I really want to do. I've got to be spontaneous about stuff like this. So I reached out to a friend and I was like, hey, what are you doing on Monday? Do you have anything going on? And they're like, no. I was like, do you want to take a 10-hour road trip with me? They're like, I'm so down. So that was nice to have somebody there to talk to, and like 2.5, 3 hours, 4 hours, I can do it. It's not a big deal. But it's nice to have somebody to kind of talk to and experience stuff like this with, especially if they're, interested in the same type of things. So, jumped in the car and started this drive. Stopped in good old Pella, Iowa, and they're getting ready for their tulip time, which, in case you guys don't know, it's a whole thing. In the Midwest, we do these flower festivals. Look, the tulips. And we do sunflower festivals and things like that. But yeah, got on the road, got driving down there. I expected it to rain most of the day. So I was like, well, I'm going to be driving anyways, might as well. If it's raining, that's fine. And I checked the weather and I was like, I should kind of like, if I leave in this window, when you're calculating. So I'm like, if I leave in this window, I should be able to like get there for the most part without much of a storm. And then same thing, like getting to the location and being able to walk around and spend some time without getting just poured on. So I was like, this should be a good moment to do this with. I, I got this whole drive going on, 5 hours, 5 hours and 45 minutes. Got down there around 4 o'clock. And again, I said, you see these things on TV, kind of like when I saw the Mayan ruins. And I've only seen Tulum, so I can only imagine what the other locations are like. And I plan to get those in expeditiously as well. um, but I think you're like, oh yeah, that looks big. I expected hills. We in Iowa we have like the bear mounds, and they're burial mounds. They're not big. They look like, yeah, little mounds, little hills. and like I said, I've seen Graham Hancock. I've seen so many people, um, and acquaintances that podcast and do this, go check this area out. But it is deceiving. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, little mounds. Hopefully I have time to I should be able to get it all in. And I did think to myself, I hope I'm not disappointed. I hope I didn't drive almost 6 hours one way to look at this hill. um, and I didn't want to be disappointed. So, but I literally, I remember driving down the road and thinking like, oh, okay, it says we're right coming up on it. And I looked out the window to my left and I was like, holy shit. um, just the scale is insane. So obviously, learning about the Cahokia Mounds, you learn that this is the largest pre-Columbian city north of Mexico. So they were thriving from about 800 AD to 1400 AD, right there in the Mississippi little culture hub. Well over 20,000 people live there, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I do believe it's got like 120 plus of these mounds, but they've been able to restore, I think, around 82 of them. And there's a wood henge there as well that we'll talk about a little bit. And so yeah, I parked the car. And off to the side there, you'll see kind of like this stockade that we'll get into. Um, but yes, I was in awe. I was just standing there for a minute like, oh my gosh, I don't think I expected it to be this big. Um, the scale is enormous. And then just thinking to yourself, the way this is all hand built, baskets of dirt. I do believe when I was reading through all of this, it said like well over 22 million cubits of dirt. Just brought up with little baskets of dirt, dumping it and leveling it out. Um, but it's also been done um in increments. Like it part of it, had they built on it in multiple ages. And part of it collapsed and then they had to build it up again. And it really is like you're there, you're looking at it and you're like, this is literally, you know, built just like a Mayan city would be or a Mayan temple plaza would be. And yeah, so walking up on it, Monk's Mound is the largest prehistoric earthwork in the Americas. Um, and again, it's so deceiving. Even in these videos, even in these pictures, it's so deceiving. So I am trying to make sure in these videos and these pictures that like there were a couple other people there just randomly and just trying to um use them for scale of how big this is. And this guy in the neon shirt, I'm pretty sure this guy probably like lives down the road. He comes up here probably every day to get his steps in. Because he was going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so yes, Monk's Mound is like 5 hectares, as they call it, standing 30 meters high. It's huge. So their peak was 1100, 1200 AD, 20 to 40,000 people, and then it was just abandoned. Um, when you're out here and you're just like going up this mound, like coming up to the first area that is like almost like a little plaza, like a terrace. You're standing there and they're like looking at the pictures of how this was done. They had wooden temple complexes on top of this, huts, complexes on top of these terraces and plaza areas where they're leveling it off. And it's wild just looking at it and like coming up these steps to the first plaza. You're like, wow, that was deceiving. And again, just thinking of how much work this would have taken, how much time it would have taken, all the dirt. Um, and then I go up the second one. And I just kept thinking to myself, I have to do these things. I have to do these things while my knees still work and I'm still able to do it because, every year we get older and, eventually I'm going to be an old woman and I'm going to think to myself, I wish I could do some things, but I didn't ever do it. So, yeah, it's no joke. If you're trying to get your steps in and you're trying to get a workout, this is the place to do it on a beautiful day. um, so yes, get all the way to the top. This is Monk's Mound. It's absolutely incredible. It is like the view is crazy to look out over this and you can see St. Louis. Um so from the top of this I could literally look over and I could see St. Louis, I could see the arch and the city um kind of peeking over the woods there. And then same thing with the river. Like I could clearly look over and see the river as well. And so this is like the largest settlement in the North American area at the time. And this was a hub for trade. They had copper mines. They worshipped the bird-headed god. And this is the city of the sun. And you can see why. You can see why. Being clear up there, you're like, oh my gosh. And I kept saying to my friend, like, look at this. Look at this. You can, from this point, you can see out almost to St. Louis. St. Louis, obviously, at the time was not what it is, but you could see so far. You would be able to observe your almost your entire population. Um, you would be able to, yeah, have this plaza. These mounds line up. Sorry, excuse, they line up. There's a mound almost directly across from it, these twin mounds on the other side that I kind of show you here, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit. And like I said, there's well over 80 mounds that they've reconstructed, and it's an entire park. It's an entire protected Indian park. That crazy. Like I said, it's like sprawled out. Um, and they did this multiple times. Like they built it up, they added on to it. There were cave-ins, things like that, and then eventually they just left, and it was no longer considered. I don't know what it was, safe or prosperous, but I mean, walking through this and walking around here, you've got everything you need. The Mississippi Valley, you can be stable. You can plant your three sisters, your corn, your squash, your beans. You can hunt the animals. There's so much forested area around there. The Mississippi River is running right through there. So it's sustainable. It's so sustainable. And it just makes you think to yourself, these people were living like just, and protected. They had a stockade around the entire settlement that ran all the way down to the river and ran like 2-3 miles the other way. So I'll show you guys that as well. And they had different eras of this stockade. So there were different styles of these stockades where one was like a rounded tower and it wasn't quite as um, finished out, as I would say it was. And then they kind of would upgrade as they evolved, as we do, as humans are prone to doing. And you see it get more complicated, and you see now it has levels, and it's an enclosed square stockade, guard towers and things like that. And then they're using the mud brick in a pueblo style to now cover these once wooden walls and barriers so that it's impenetrable. Just incredible to look at this. Obviously these things are recreated that I'm showing you. But I mean, these archaeologists have excavated the entire area, found these holes, found these stockades, this whole area. Um, and it's crazy. It's just crazy to look at and think. I think every time I go to places like this and I stand there and like looking out from the top of this, I was just thinking to myself, what were these people on, bro? What were y'all on? What were y'all doing? This is crazy. Like when they talk about people building these things, Zahi Hawass will tell you it's a national project. That's how they built the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, that's harder to believe. Obviously, there's so many conflicting things with that, but with this, you can see that. You can see that this is a metropolis, a hub where it's protected, it's bountiful, and it's peaceful for like living a very sustainable life. And the trade and you're interacting with other tribes coming through the river is your access to everything. um it's just fascinating. It puts you in a weird mindset. I feel like I always feel the energy. I anytime I go to these places, same as when I went to the Mayan ruins, there's just something when you're standing there looking at this stuff and you're standing in the places that these people have stood, and you're just trying to put yourself as a modern day human into their mindset and looking around and thinking to yourself, bro, this is so crazy. You guys had to have the time and the manpower and just the willingness to build this, same as the wood henges that we'll get into. um and I guess I had no idea that it was at the scale that it is. And just walking around this entire complex, I was like just in awe. Again, just in awe of how we used to live. And I said to my friend, this is what they took from us. Anytime you're sitting here thinking about how you have to pay taxes, and they take taxes out of your check already, and then you have to pay taxes again at the end of the year for it, and it's like we have shit health care and wars, and we're sending all of our money across the world, and they just upped the draft age to 42, and so many things, right? So many things, that it's like this is what they took from us. I was just standing there like these people knew what was up. Like they were so in tune with the earth and just how things are supposed to be, as I would consider. And to know that, yeah, they were building these plazas, they were building it looked like a Mayan city, the same way, just built out of earthen mounds with the topped with these temples and things like that at the top, and the thatch work roofs and things like that. um but yeah, you could track the sun, the stars, everything from up there. And it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind, looking at it and being there and feeling this energy. um and it was a group of Native Americans. They always, what I consider is, how they always tell you that the winners write history, but now we know. I mean, we've kind of always known that it's a little bit rigged. So you know, they teach us in school that the Native Americans were just these primitive people that were in these nomadic tribes, and they just had little teepees and wigwams, and they just traded with each other for little beads and little things, and had these little canoes, and they just you know they don't want you to understand for real that they were way more than that. And they had way more going on over here in North America than they want you to know about. and it's all over the country. This is just the largest one still standing. But early European settlers coming to the Americas wrote about, these mound cities or these stone cities that they were asking about, and people, it was normal. Like they just be like, oh yeah, the natives built that, and now they're gone. Um, they would repurpose the stones and things like that for their own new little towns and stuff. So a lot of these things have been denigrated and just destroyed. But these people had copper mines and an entire religion. They were stationary because their lifestyle allowed them to be stationary, and I think that's huge. You're feeding 40,000 people. That's crazy. Um, and I just kept standing there talking about how much of an advantage this is. You are able to see somebody coming down the river. From the top of this. You're able to see people coming in for a ways. You would know. You would know there's other hills further out. And, if you've got scouts and people on these other hills further out and these other mounds, they're able to, like, light a beacon. The beacon, the beacon's so lit. Don't make me do it. Gondor calls for aid. Rohan must answer. I had to finish it. So yeah, this was the same way we have cities now. It makes you think like these people were not these primitive beings that they want you to believe. They're smelting. They've got copper. They've got tablets. They're selling these copper plates. They're there's inscriptions on things. They have a religion. This is the city of the sun. This is a metropolis. And all of these different Indian or Native American tribes are coming through there now. They're going to come through. They're going to know that that's the place they need to go to um, trade their goods. The Cherokee, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, um, Creek Indians, they all knew that this was the area to to come through and trade things. I did not get to go into the visitor center. It is closed. I knew that going into this, but I really wish I would have, because I would have loved to see if they had any of these tablets and like copper plates and things that I was wanting to see. But next time I'll have to see if it's open by then, and I'll have to also, like, maybe see a museum in the area. Maybe they'll have it. um but yeah, they found these copper plates and things like that back in like 2002, 2010. They had a copper workshop there. So they were not only, you know, excavate like excavating, quarrying this copper, but had a copper workshop. Um and when I was looking at this, I think they said that's the only copper workshop to ever be found at one of these sites, which is crazy. So this was a city like none other, and I still, like I said, I still am in awe of that, and thinking to myself, holy cow, these people had a functional real city, just like a Mayan city here 5 hours away from Des Moines, Iowa. Um, just living their best life. Um, Catching everybody coming down the river to trade with, having 40,000 people plus to trade with, to sustain, to feed, to farm with, all of it. And so again, like I said, the way they tell us history is like it's just not it. It's not it. Um, and this Woodhenge, again, it's also a reconstruction. It was down a little ways. This whole area, miles. It's about 0.5 miles away from the big henge or the big mound, monk's mound. And it's huge. And they recreated this mound. It's no different than the wood henges they find over in the UK. These people are using this for ceremony, for time, telling time, the sun, solstices, planning, celebrations, things like that. And they figured this out by finding, the holes in the ground, to know that they had these wooden posts in in here, and it's like 12 of them going around. Huge, absolutely huge. Um, I just I'm just in awe. I can't even really um tell you about how much I was like pleasantly surprised seeing this, and being like, wow, I thought I was going to be disappointed. And just the scale of the entire area, you know, I I'm just in awe. There's points where walking around, like, I'm glad I walked around and it didn't break out raining yet. To be able to walk around and see this from like different areas. So coming through that stockade in an area, I mean, coming through it, you're coming through the other side, you would see this mound and the sun is right over it, and it's like, if you're not um familiar with this and this type of city, and you're coming in through the wall or the gate, and you are coming in from that side, and they let you through, and you're walking through, and you see this entire plaza laid out in front of you. It would have just been insane. Like I said, I like putting myself in that mindset of like what they were seeing and feeling and everyday life. And I think our history is so important. You've got to learn from it. And they want us to believe that this is the most advanced we've ever been. And I don't know if that's true. I think that these other people just had a difference in how they were interacting with the planet. And they obviously, in other parts of the world, had technology to move, cut, quarry these megalithic stones, that we clearly don't have available even today. So you can't make me believe that this is the best we've ever had it. um, but yes, it was an incredible trip. Sirens, we got a tornado warning. Basically, it worked out perfectly. Like I said, I was hoping to miss the rain, a lot of it, drive out of it, and then maybe be able to get some time at the site to get out all my footage and all my content before it broke out again. And sure enough, got the wood henge in right there at the end. The sky's getting dark, as you can see in the pictures. It's slowly getting darker and darker. Um, and then yeah, just got on the road and booked it back, and had to pull over for maybe 5 minutes. It was coming down so hard, and driving like past St. Louis in this traffic, it was crazy. Couldn't see anything. Had to pull over, and it was like a pride thing a little bit. I was like, I feel like a wimp doing this because I feel like I never do this. I've never put my hazards on and pulled over like that. But I mean, so many other people were doing it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea. So we did that for 5 minutes, cleared up, and took back off again. And got home, I think, at like 1:30 in the morning. And spent the next couple days recovering. And then, here I am getting it all together for you guys. So, this, like I said, this was a day trip for me. This was a just out of curiosity, impulsive. I need to do this, and it's something I want to do, and I have the day free, and like, let's just do it. So I was blessed to be able to do that, and I'm so glad. Like, I feel even more fulfilled, like I can tick that off of my list of ancient sites. that I've checked out and seen for myself. And I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm gonna keep bringing it to you guys like this. And I know there's an oversaturation of podcasters and people that go and do this, but I don't put myself in a box. I do stuff with everybody, and things that I'm interested in. That's what you're going to get from me, and hopefully we can share these interests. And maybe if you're not interested in something else, you'll see something else I do and be like, "Oh, that's cool." And oh, I didn't know that. Um but I'm grateful for all of it, and I'm thankful for all of my listeners and subscribers. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share, and tell me where you think I should go next. Like I said, I'm stationed in Iowa. That was a 12-hour trip turnaround thing, day trip, and I'm interested in seeing more things like this. And this was a big one that I've been wanting to see for a while. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Leave your comments. And like I said, like, share, subscribe, and give me suggestions. Like I said, where should I go next? What should I see? Um, but thank you for listening to another episode of the Last Word with Naya podcast. Bye.